Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the SportzMoose Media Podcast for the week. Ricky Dean along with Rick Burkett as we talk high school football in the state of Alabama. You know, Rick, we've been doing this for a while now, all season long, and we're at the end. We're at the end of high school football in the state of Alabama as all 7 classifications in the Alabama High School Athletic Association get set for championship week in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And, of course, they'll be playing there at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa. And to get things started off this week is going to be the 7A game, which is the large schools in the state of Alabama. So the 7A game pits Central Phoenix City against Thompson. And so that's going to be a good ball game, Rick. As a matter of fact, before we get into the ball game, man, I just want to thank you for joining me tonight, as you always do, and ask you how you doing. You having a good week?
Yep, having a good week. Of course, it was a good weekend, and you know why.
Yeah, yes, I do. Roll Tide.
Just have to permit me to say Roll Tide. Yeah. But, yeah, I had a good weekend. Just been a great football season in general. I've had a good time doing the games with you, covering W.S. Neal High School and covering Atmore and covering Northview, and just been a great season. And it's kind of hard to believe it's got right down here to the last week for Alabama, and got some great games coming up. And a lot of these teams that are in it, we kind of envisioned them being in it. Like Central Phoenix City and Thompson, there's no big surprise there, or Saraland. But some of the teams that got in are no, I wouldn't say a surprise, but so the Super 7 coming up this Wednesday through Friday should be a great time for all. And, of course, there's no better venue than Bryant-Denny Stadium to do it in.
Well, and you know, one thing that we've done, you know, we started our season kind of talking about, you know, football teams right around us and everything, you know, Monroe County, Escambia County, Washington County, just right here in this South Alabama area. Then we kind of expanded out, and we actually started, you know, doing some things, expanding into Mobile County and in southwest Alabama. And as we've gone along, we've been able to, as the playoffs have come into fruition and everything. I mean, we've just really tried to cover the entire state, and it's been a lot of fun because the research that we do to get set to kind of discuss these ball games and all, and the stuff we get to read. I mean, there's a lot of great football in the state of Alabama, and so for us to be able to be a part of it and kind of spread the news about what's going on around the state during the playoffs, and now that we've reached championship week, man, it's just been a lot of fun. And you know, you and I have really kind of dug into this thing, and we've really, you know, tried to own this, and hopefully the people that have listened in to what we've done each and every week, they appreciate what we've done, and hopefully they think that, you know, we've done a decent job, and just getting started. Hey, we're wanting to grow this thing and get better. So you know, any ways that folks may think that we can make this podcast better and make it cover high school football any better, certainly we're open for suggestions, and don't feel like that you can't reach out and talk to us. Yeah, we're grown folks. You know, you're not going to hurt our feelings, so just reach out and let us know what you think.
That's right. I mean, you know, we're just being ourselves, and anybody that is listening knows that that's just me and you being Ricky Dean and Ricky Burkett, and so it's been a lot of fun, and it doesn't do anything but help us to get good suggestions. And we know we're not the smartest people in the world. You know, hopefully we're not the dumbest thinker, but you know, we're just trying to have a good time. Really, we're not really trying to do anything with this, but just have a pastime and enjoy it. You know, so yeah, for certainly suggestions are welcome, as long as they're civil. You know, a lot of my Florida State kin folks are not. Some of them are on the brink of not being civil to me here the last few days. But
yeah, I can understand that. Yeah. I think everybody can. So as we dive into these ball games, we'll start with the 7A game. Of course, the 7A game will be played Wednesday night in Tuscaloosa as it kind of kicks off everything for championship week there in Tuscaloosa. The Super 7 championships is what the Alabama High School Athletic Association talks about. Central Phoenix City and Thompson. Of course, Central Phoenix City will be, I believe, the home team in this ball game. And looking at Central Phoenix City, they're a loaded, very good football team. I mean, they come into this thing undefeated, as they have won every game that they have played this year, starting all the way back, going way back into August, the late part of August, and they've worked their way through an undefeated season for Central Phoenix City. Thompson, they're a very good football team as well. They've only lost one game all year long, and they lost to a very good Clay Chalkville team earlier in the year. Close game there by a score of 36-33. So you've got very good football teams playing each other, and Rick, these two teams playing each other, I mean, you'll see a lot of college-level talent on the field with these two teams.
Oh, yeah, you're exactly right. Central Phoenix City and Thompson, there are other schools with just as much tradition as those guys. Of course, Thompson here lately, sort of like they're one of those Hoover kind of runs, but Central Phoenix City and Thompson, both of them have a lot of tradition. Central Phoenix City, I mean, just look at the teams that they've beaten throughout the season. I mean, Central Phoenix City's beat Hewitt-Trussville, beat Enterprise, beat Dothan, beat Auburn, beat, Davidson, beat Mary Montgomery. And then you look over there on the Thompson side, on the other side, I mean, they've done this, similar thing, of course. So it should be a great matchup. I think that right now, in my mind, it's sort of a toss-up, maybe a slight favorite, Central Phoenix City, but two really good teams, and I'm sure they're going to be getting after each other on Wednesday night.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun to see, and that'll be Central Phoenix City and Thompson High School. Central Phoenix City, the home team, they'll be playing in Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and that will be the 7A Super 7 championship game that'll be happening there. It's going to be a big ball game. Now, as we move along and get into the next classification that we'll take a look at, we're going to look at Saraland and Clay Chalkville in Class 6A. The Class 6A game that will be taking place in Tuscaloosa. Of course, it will be played on Friday. It will be the last game of the Super 7 week, actually. The way they do that is Wednesday night, the 7A game will play, and then on Thursday, you will have the odd number teams will play, the odd number classifications, and it will start with 3A. 3A will start at like 11 in the morning, and then you'll have the 3A game, then the 1A game, and then you will have the 5A game at the end. And then on Friday, they will have the evens that will play. You will have the 4A game that will be the first game of the morning, then you will have the 2A game that will be the middle game, and it will end on Friday night at 7 o'clock with the 6A game. Now, this will be the 6A game. Rick and I had an opportunity to go 2 weeks in a row. We went down to Saraland and watched the Spartans of Saraland play, as we've referred to them all year long, and it's even made its way there, the University of Saraland. Man, they're a good football team. And Rick, we've enjoyed seeing them the couple of weeks that we've seen them. They're undefeated on the year. They're loaded. I mean, great running backs, great offense. Quarterback is incredible. One of the guys that we enjoyed watching is the big defensive tackle that plays for Saraland, and Antonio Coleman is his name, man. He's just a beast. And as a matter of fact, the other night in the ball game that they played against Pike Road, he hit Pike Road's quarterback one time, and I honestly thought he had done severe bodily damage to the kid, but he bounced back up and went after it. But boy, this Saraland team is really offensively, defensively, special teams. They're just a really sound football team.
They really are, and we sat with same people a couple of weekends in a row now, and we had a lot of discussion. I know lots of people in that school system up there. I mean, I know you went and talked to Roger Pettis and Brooks Whitehead the other day. Their children go there. Arabelle Shields and her two daughters go there or went there. Now one of them's still there. A lot of friends. Chris McCann, a good friend of mine. I coached with his dad a long time in the youth leagues around here. That Saraland team. And I think most of the Mobile area is as they are rooting also for Gulf Shores and Mobile Christian. They're rooting for Saraland. We want to see our local teams do well, and they're just a really good bunch. The nice lady, her husband Chuck and Shannon Smith, sitting beside us. She's a teacher, since the Saraland School District, Independent School District, been in existence, and she was just telling me about lots of the kids on past teams and this team. And they're all very, just well-mannered, just a good bunch of kids that always display great sportsmanship and a good attitude. So good luck to Saraland for sure against Clay Chalkville, and they're gonna need some support there because Clay Chalkville ain't any walkover either.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you don't have to worry about Saraland having support because you know that bunch from the two games that we've seen them over there at their place, they are loud and proud, and they love their Spartans. And I tell you one thing, they will travel well to Tuscaloosa. They'll just go out there and jump on Highway 43 and head north and end up in Tuscaloosa. Now, you mentioned Clay Chalkville and how good they are. Yes, Clay Chalkville is a 6A team. Clay Chalkville is the only team that beat 7A Thompson this year. They beat 7A Thompson by a score of 36-33. So Clay Chalkville is a very good football team, and we talked earlier about the game last week at Saraland that we thought maybe they had faced their toughest opponent to date, last weekend, but I think that we may need to rethink that now. Clay Chalkville's going to be a load, and Saraland's going to have to be clicking on all cylinders in this game on Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, Clay Chalkville, a lot of tradition up there. Like, as you mentioned, they beat Thompson in a close game earlier this season. And I can say the same thing about those folks up there. They're right up there in the Sand Mountain area. And of course, where Chalkville's at, and they're just great bunch of folks, and Saraland's going to need to be play their best game to win this game. If they don't, then Clay Chalkville is going to play their best game, I think, and so they've got to, as we always say, strap them on and get ready to play some football because they're going to have to be clicking on all cylinders this Friday night.
Yeah, it'll be a good ball game to watch. It'll certainly be exciting, and that may be actually, they'll all be good games. But I mean, this will be one that will be, could be certainly classified as one of those games of the century type games because they're both just very good football teams, very well coached, and it'll be a lot of fun to see who comes out on top in this one.
Ricky. Yeah, and a lot of times in these state championship games, no matter what state it is, it doesn't actually happen all that as much as you used to see it when there was just like the 3A system or the 4A system in Alabama, where both teams were undefeated. Usually, most of the teams, cross classifications and things like this, just like with Central and Thompson, one of them's got a loss. But both of these teams, Saraland and Clay Chalkville, are both undefeated. And I mean, it'll be like a college level game on Friday night.
Oh yeah, it'll be a good one. No doubt about it. As we continue looking at the games, this game will be held on a Thursday night. This will be the Thursday night late game because we're into Class 5A now. And, of course, looking at the 5A game, it'll be Gulf Shores. Gulf Shores will be playing Ramsey. And that game's going to be a big game. Of course, those two teams are very good as well. Gulf Shores, the Dolphins, they won their game the other night against Eufaula. in the semifinals on Friday night, and the Rams of Ramsey, they defeated Gunnersville the other night to advance, and so it's going to be a big time ball game there. They both are just very good football teams. Gulf Shores is 14-0, Ramsey is 12-2. And those two teams are going to be getting after each other. This will be in the Class 5A Super 7 game in Bryant-Denny Stadium. It'll be Gulf Shores and Ramsey on Thursday night.
Yeah, and of course Gulf Shores from our area, Gulf Shores, Alabama, down there on the Gulf of Mexico. And when you look back through their season, probably the best game, the team that gave them their hardest victory was Faith Academy in the third game of the season. They beat Faith in what was a pretty close game, 31-16. Nobody else has even come close to touching Gulf Shores. BC Rains gave them a little bit of a go through the third quarter, the last game of the season, but they have just sailed through the playoffs, 4-0 in the playoffs, undefeated overall. And they're just a very, very good football team. And they played some hard teams. They did not play an easy schedule. So Gulf Shores is probably going to wind up being if you can have a favorite in these kind of games, I think Gulf Shores will be the favorite over Ramsey. Although Ramsey has cooked through the playoffs themselves. They had a couple of losses during the season, but as they say, they're kind of peaking at the right time. So it should still be a good ball game, but I expect Gulf Shores to come out on top in this one. Just one man's opinion.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at some of the stats and stuff on Gulf Shores and Ramsey both, Gulf Shores averaging about right at 40 points per game as far as their scoring average. Ramsey right at about 38. So you can expect a lot of points to be scored. Now, one thing that Gulf Shores does seem to do just a little bit better than Ramsey is play defense. The Gulf Shores defense only giving up about 9 points a game, and so
that's right.
So,
5 shutouts during the season.
Yeah, they're a good football team, offensively, defensively, but you would expect any team that has made it as far as these two teams have, that they're going to be sound in all phases of the game. I mean, they'll just be, it'll be good football, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
As we continue and move on down the line, let's take a look at Class 4A now, as it pits a couple of teams that really I'm not that familiar with. Of course, Catholic of Montgomery up, in the state capital of Alabama, up in Montgomery, Alabama. Catholic Montgomery, a very good football team. This game will be played. This will be the 11 o'clock game, the first game on Friday. As I told you, the Friday games are all the even number games, so it'll be the 4A, the 2A, and then the 6A. Well, this is the first one of the day on Friday. It'll be 4A, Catholic Montgomery against Cherokee County. Both of these schools are very good, as all the schools that reach this level are. Catholic Montgomery is undefeated, and Cherokee County is 13-1. So two very good football teams as they tie up with each other. Catholic Montgomery, they defeated Booker T. Washington by a score, actually a shutout in the semifinals the other night, 28-0. And Cherokee County, they defeated Westminster Christian. Now get this, they hung 50 on Westminster Christian in the semifinals of the state playoffs. 50-6 was the final score of that one. So a lot of offense there for the Cherokee County Warriors. We'll just have to see how that pans out. They have a really good offense, but as we've said, these teams are very close. Offensively, defensively, if you look at the averages, Catholic of Montgomery averaging about 41 and a half points a game. Cherokee County about 43 points roughly. Now the thing is Catholic of Montgomery, they've got a very good defense. They've only allowed about 5.2 points per game, and Cherokee County not even 2 touchdowns, 11.1. So both of them are sound on defense. Both of them have very strong offenses. So you could see a lot of points in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Cherokee County from Center, Alabama, up there around Lake Weiss, and some people say Lake Weiss, some people up there they say Lake Weiss, but right up there north of Piedmont and in Cherokee County, of course. And they're a very good football team. Catholic Montgomery's defense, I think they may have led the state, which you sometimes see in the 1 and 2A, but this is 4A football, and I think they led the state in points given up in the least amount. They had 8 shutouts during the season. They had a string of 6 shutouts in a row during the middle of the season. And for instance, they beat Demopolis 42-0, and Demopolis was a playoff team in 5A. They're really good. Cherokee County, a lot of tradition there. They're really good. So, this should be a humdinger here. I don't have a clue as to who might win this one. They're both very good football teams. A little strange that Cherokee County lost to Fort Payne on the last game of the season. They're kind of rivals, but just a rivalry game, I guess. But that Catholic Montgomery team to give up only 5.2 in 4A football throughout the season, including the playoffs, that's pretty special defense right there. So, and you know what they say, defense wins championships.
Well, both of these teams will be going after that blue map, trying to win a championship in this game on Friday morning at 11 o'clock. That'll be exciting to see, certainly, and I'm sure that they'll draw a big crowd up there to Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa. As we continue and work our way down, Class 3A. Now, here's one of our guys that we covered. We got to see live and in person as we did games on the radio earlier this year. We've said all along that we figured that they would be exactly where they are for a Thursday game, December the 7th at 11 o'clock. It'll be the game that kicks it off on Thursday. It will be Mobile Christian against Madison Academy. I've seen Madison Academy in times that I've gone to Super 7 championships before. Madison Academy's always a very good football team, and they travel well. They've got a loud and proud team, but I tell you one thing, now they're facing a team that is pretty dadgum good. We've seen Mobile Christian a time or two and followed them all year long, and this Mobile Christian team is really good.
They really are. They're playing another private school with a lot of tradition. Since they both been, but I earlier in the season we saw Mobile Christian and as what they call the eye, just the eye test. These guys look the part, and I mean they play the part. I think they've got 5 or 6 shutouts. Great defense. Great offense, well coached, and all the disciplines of the game. But they're playing probably the best team they've played all year in Madison Academy. Madison Academy played up a level and played a couple times playoff teams above them in the 5A level and defeated them. So Madison Academy is a really good opponent for Mobile Christian. So this should be a good one. Mobile Christian probably made the playoffs if they had been playing in 5A ball. That's how good I think they are. But they're definitely playing a good team in Madison Academy.
Yeah, there's a lot of tradition there with Madison Academy, and they're no stranger to the Super 7 championships in the state of Alabama. And I'm sure that both crowds will be there. They'll be well represented by their local communities, and boy, that'll be a good ball game. That's Class 3A. The Class 3A Super 7 high school football championship, the Alabama High School Athletic Association, and this is the game that starts the day on Thursday at 11 o'clock there at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa. As we continue to work our way through games here to just kind of let you know where we are, and of course next we got to jump down to Class 2A, and all these games, doesn't matter what classification you're in. We're getting now into the smaller schools, but I tell you one thing, you talk about well represented. Now, these two teams that are playing each other in the Class 2A game that will be held at 3 o'clock on Friday, because this will be the 2A game. The even numbers are played on Friday, and so this will be the middle game of the day. it will be Reeltown. Everybody's heard of Reeltown that lives in the state of Alabama as far as high school football goes, and they'll be taking on the Fife Red Devils. So Reeltown and Fife are going to battle it out for the Class 2A state championship, and man, that's going to be a war. If you look at the two schools and how they've done this year, both of them have done extremely well. Reeltown is 13-0, Fife is 13-1. You know, just looking at at something that jumps off the page, you know, points scored on the year. Fife has scored. They've put up 648 points. They're averaging 46 points a game, and of course they've got a very good defense, very evenly matched. If you look at the numbers between these two teams, they are very stat-wise. They're very evenly matched. This is going to be one for the ages between these teams here. Up in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like you said, everybody's heard of Reeltown, everybody's heard of Fife. The Red Devils have, you know, from even when we played football back in the 70s, Fife is a team you always heard about, and they're 2A now, but back into the old system, I believe they were 3A. When you look at this, you think about this since they've had the state playoff system. Since, which I said the other night was like 1970, 71, but it's really 1966 when the system came into being initially. Reeltown's been to the playoffs 40 times since then, and Fife has been 43 times. Reeltown's won 4 playoff state championships, and Fife's won 6. So you're talking about a couple of blue bloods meeting up, and both of them very good teams. With just one loss between the two of them, that being Fife, having lost early on in the season to a great Geraldine team. So should be a really good one. I mean, if they'll look like a couple of 5A schools or 6A schools out there. A lot of pride on the line, you know, when these two teams get together.
Oh yeah, it'll be a lot of fun to see, and of course both teams like to light up the scoreboard, so there'll be points aplenty on those scoreboards up at Bryant-Denny Stadium as these two teams tie up and play for the Class 2A state championship. And of course, as we said, the Class 2A state championship game will be the middle game, the 3:00 game on Friday. Now, as we move to the last classification of the week, the last state championship game in the state of Alabama in Class 1A, of course, this game will actually be the middle game on Thursday. It'll be the 3:00 game on Thursday, and it will have Pitt, one of the schools from right here close to me. As a matter of fact, been over there, done some baseball on the radio over there, done some football on the radio over there as well, and I'm very familiar with this bunch. It's the Leroy Bears. They're always a good football team, and Leroy has made it through. They played Elba last week and beat a very good Elba team. Very close game, 27-24 to advance. But Leroy's a good football team, and they're taking on Coosa Christian. And so that'll be your 1A game, and boy, these two teams, they'll get after each other. I know that the Leroy Bears are just loaded, and they're going to have a very good football team. They're going to load up and take a good football team to Tuscaloosa and play in this ball game. Leroy 13-0 on the year, so they're undefeated. They're averaging about 38 points a game, and but they're battling a Coosa Christian team that has played very well and made it to the state championship game with a record of only 9-5. But you know, Rick, we learned from one of our other playoff teams that we had here close to us, Clark County. You can't always go by that record. It all depends on who they've pitted themselves up against, and sometimes that record can be a little deceiving. I guarantee you, Coosa Christian's going to be ready, and they're a good football team.
Well, that's right, but those losses were forfeits. They really only lost to the one team, Geraldine, and then they didn't even play Heritage, Mississippi, and they got credit for that one. But 4 of the losses were because of an ineligible player they had used.
Wow.
So they, Coosa Christian's very good. They did lose to Geraldine 26-0 for the season, but this Leroy team, Ricky, I really thought Elba had beat the fire out of everybody they played all year long, including Georgiana, who Leroy had all they could handle with Georgiana. And them defeating Elba, that was a big deal. And I think Elba started off that game. I better not comment on that. I'm not. But I know it was a close game, but I really expect. I can tell you the people from Elba, which are very fine people and from a very fine town over there in the Wiregrass section, left kind of shocked that I know it was a shock for them to lose because Elba's a great community with a great football team. But hey, Leroy's more of a local team, and we're always pulling for them. And but they're going to have their hands full with Coosa Christian. I can tell you. I know when Coosa Christian beat Hackleburg, Hackleburg had a good football team, and Coosa Christian beat them 63-13 in the quarterfinals. So yeah, this would be a tough one for Leroy, but Leroy's got that defense, and should just be a great one.
Yeah, they play good football over in Leroy, and I'm sure that bunch, they'll travel very well and go up and be pulling for those Bears as they take on Coosa Christian for a state championship, and hopefully another blue map will make its way down to Leroy, and they'll get to display that with pride right there on the school on Highway 43 over in the Leroy community. Man, just they're just,
and if they do, that will be their 8th blue map.
Wow!
Since the playoff system started in 1966,
they're gonna have to hire.
Leroy's right up there with,
they're gonna have to hire a carpenter and they're gonna have to hire a carpenter and add on to the trophy case over there if they keep bringing those blue maps back to the house. But
that's
anyway,
right,
that's kind of going to do it for high school football in the state of Alabama. These will be games that we will have another podcast next week, and we will talk about who the state champions are in all these classifications, and we'll pass that information along to you. Something else that Rick and I plan on doing between now and then is we'll kind of research and go week to week as the bowl season starts on the college level. We'll talk about some bowl games that we've got coming up because we just love talking about football, and that's really what this podcast is all about. Is like Rick said earlier, we're not trying to be the smartest guys on the page, and we're certainly not trying to act like we know everything. All we are is a couple of good old boys that just enjoy the game of football, and so we sit around and what you're hearing us do here each and every week, it's not anything that we don't do just talking on the phone to each other or traveling to a ball game to do on the radio or whatever. I mean, we talk about these teams and talk about these games, and we try to just be ourselves and put it out there, and just it's just an opportunity for us to talk about high school football, a game that we really love and just love to be a part of each and every week.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's been a blast, and I'm looking forward to next year already.
Well, you and I talked about it. We've got we've got to get back up, and as a matter of fact, it's kind of like a season. Now that our season is over with, the plans we have begun already to start planning for next year and what we're going to do podcast-wise and what we're going to do broadcast-wise, on the radio and on YouTube. So hopefully, we'll have some new things to report on, and we'll have some new things that we can talk about in ways that we cover this high school football in our area. So with that being said, Rick, buddy, we'll sign off for now, and we'll get back with everybody next week and let them know who the 7 state champions are in all the classifications in the state of Alabama. It's the Alabama High School Athletic Association classifications from 7A all the way down to 1A, and those games will be played this week, and we'll certainly let everybody know who ends up winning all these state championships here in the state.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, Ricky.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. Glad to have you, and we'll talk to you again next week.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later.